All right, Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of the great millstone who rule well, and salutations to you, sincere and hopeful elect. Akim that push the word of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai in spirit and in truth. Coming back with another lesson. And I just want to get into quickly patience. Patience, as they say, is a virtue. And it's definitely something that, through the years, you definitely have to work on. And, the Most High will put you in situations to where you have no choice but to work on patience. But more so, for the purpose of this lesson, Akim that are still in the fight, we have exercised great patience, and Abaratazah, we continue to exercise that great patience because we are gonna eventually reap the rewards of that patience. All right, and when we do, we'll be more than happy that we actually were blessed with the spirit to endure and utilize that patience, knowing that there's a reward at the end. All right, so I want to get this here at Sirach, should I say, here in Sirach, the second chapter in verse 1. It says, "My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation, set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble." Okay, and the Lord in His truth will put you through certain situations. He'll have trouble arise, man, and see what type of metal you are. See how you gonna handle that situation. Okay, but when trouble arises, that's not the time to make haste and just start beating feet, getting the hell out of Dodge. Um, you gotta utilize that patience, all right, and let the Lord work. Verse 3, it says, "Cleave unto Him, and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end." So the last end of us, Abaratazah, cleaving unto Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, is for the purpose of being increased. You got dudes that fell out and got disenchanted and all that. Didn't have the patience to endure, and their last end is gonna be horrible, man. They knew what to do and didn't do it, so therefore they're gonna be beat with many stripes, man. That's scary, and that's not what we as men of the Lord want, which is why we just continue to endure. All right, with that lively hope. Verse 4 says, "Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate." All right, you're gonna be up in this truth. Sometimes you're gonna be down. In various aspects of your life. As a man of the Lord walking in this truth, you're gonna go through things. Okay, but whatever is brought upon you, you got to be patient. When you're brought to a lower state. It says, verse 5, "For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity." All right, so that's how the Lord is choosing, those elect men, is through putting brothers through adversity. All right, "Believe in Him, and He will help thee. Order thy way aright, and trust in Him." Okay. Says, "Ye that fear the Lord, wait for His mercy, and go not aside lest ye fall." All right, so you got to constantly, be on the path that is directed toward serving the Lord. And that fear of the Lord is very important too, because that's what's going to keep you, on that path. All right, knowing that the Lord can take you out of this world. You know, verse 8 it says, "Ye that fear the Lord, believe Him, and your reward shall not fail." All right, so continue to believe in Yahweh Shem Yahushai, because we know what's next. We know what's to come, what the next world is going to consist of, and all that. And we pray that we have a reward, being that Abaratazah, we endure unto the end. Keeping your eyes single and keeping your mind fixated on crossing that finish line is a great benefit in this truth. Knowing that the finish line is fastly approaching. You just got to be patient, and maintain. All right, verse 9 it says, "Ye that fear the Lord, hope for good, and for everlasting joy and mercy." All right, so this ain't the time to be, woe is me and this and that. Yeah, that's a thing of the past, man. Like, brothers have went through that. Obviously in the truth, you're gonna go through stages. First hearing about martial law and when you first come into the truth, you get that Ezra's that woe is me spirit on you. Like, man, what am I gonna do in them days? That mindset that brothers had early on, coming into the truth, in comparison to now, brothers don't give a shit as far as Abaratazah, we get beamed up on a chariot, but there's brothers that are gonna be martyrs. So enduring in this truth and having that hope, of the kingdom of heaven, it puts you get to a point to where you don't even trip on that shit. You don't even trip on the fact that you might be a martyr. You welcome it if that's your lot. But the point being, we got that lively hope. You know what I'm saying? We hope for good. Verse 9, "Ye that fear the Lord hope for good, and for everlasting joy and mercy." All right, and however that everlasting joy and mercy comes, being that you've done the will of the Lord, it is what it is. But we hope for good, man. All right, the kingdom of heaven is good. Salvation is good. All right, Yahweh Shem Yahushai being in utter control, which they are, but as the Lord's prayer says, "Thy will be done on earth as in heaven." That's good. Okay, that's what we're hoping for. Verse 10 it says, "Look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded, or did any abide in His fear and was forsaken, or whom did He ever despise that called upon Him?" All right. So, continuing to, trust in the Lord, to serve the Lord, okay, abide in His fear, okay, call upon Him. Those are things that keep that hope alive. Not to sound like Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton, but that keeps that hope alive. Okay. I'm gonna jump down to verse 14. It says, let me see, hold on. All right, yeah, verse 14, it says, "Woe unto you that have lost patience, and what will ye do when the Lord shall visit you?" All right, so patience, man. You can't lose patience. This is an endurance race. And you just gotta maintain. All right, continue to be faithful to the Lord, man, and have that hope. All right, so this is James 5, and I'm gonna start at verse 10. I'm going to read it in NLT. James 5:10, it says, for examples of patience and suffering, dear brothers and sisters, inside joke, dear brothers and sisters, look at the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. Okay, and we just read in Ecclesiasticus about calling upon the Lord. All right, we're gonna run that back. Verse 10, the latter part of 10, it says, or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? Okay, so the Lord, he wants you to call upon him, you know, especially in these times. All right. So, look to the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. All right, as I said, for examples of patience. Verse 11, James 5:11 in the NLT. We give great honor to those who endured under suffering. For instance, you know about Job, a man of great endurance. You can see how the Lord was kind to him at the end, for the Lord is full of tenderness and mercy. All right. And Job is a perfect example of patience because he had everything. All right. And then everything was taken from him. He was well off. He had children, he had cattle, he had, houses, um, you know, well, house. It doesn't say houses, but he had a place to live and so on and so forth. But he was doing good for himself, and the Lord took all that away. All right, and that forced him to utilize patience, and the Lord used that to see what type of metal Job was via him having to utilize that patience to come out of that situation with flying colors. Okay, so we can expect to catch our fair share of hell and have to exemplify patience to prove ourselves to the Heavenly Father. To prove yourself to yourself. Okay. And that'll be that right there. And then lastly, this is Job 23, and I'm gonna start at 10. It says, "But he knows where I am going, and when he tests me, I will come out as pure gold." All right, and this is Job speaking. He said, when the Lord tests me, I'm gonna come out as pure gold, and that's what we hope for ourselves. We hope that at the end of this testing, we get beamed up, we get delivered, and we are shown, to be pure gold. Okay. That's the desire. That's the goal, man. That's the hope. Verse 11, it says, "For I have stayed on the Most High's path. I have followed his ways and not turned aside." Okay. We've remained faithful to making our lives a living sacrifice to be hopefully worthy unto the Lord, man. We've given up everything and followed Yahweh Shem Yahushai in hopes of, being an heir in the kingdom, in hopes of being a member of the elect, 144,000, to be be told, good job, my faithful servant. That's what we desire, which is why we maintain, in the patience that the Lord has blessed us with. All right. Verse 12, it says, in the NLT, it says, "I have not departed from his commands, but I have treasured his words more than daily food." All right. So, hey, the the words of Yahweh Shemi Shai are more important than physical food, man. You know, and we well understand that. All right, there might be early on, you know, brothers would fast a lot more often than now. But there'll be times, you go on a fast and all you doing is reading all day, all day. Being that you ain't exerting all this energy working in things of that nature, you just spiritually eating, reading, and times like that actually build your spirit up, for longevity, all right, for endurance, because there's certain things that you read that stick with you, especially during times like that, when you're fasting and things of that nature. But I just want to bring that out, man. We are blessed, to fear the Lord, and with that fear it has to be a consistent. It has to be always ever present. Okay, and with that fear, we have endurance. Okay, we have patience. All right, you're gonna endure. Which endure meaning to suffer. You're gonna suffer. In this truth. All right, you're gonna go through the roller coaster of hell, like the movie Nothing But Trouble. Shit, but the point being, you know, just riding that the whatever twists and turns happen along that roller coaster of hell, being your Babylonian existence, existing here in Babylon, all right, but serving the Lord, you know, um, having that patience, it builds up that patience, and at the end of that patience, when that patience is fulfilled, we are going to be heavily rewarded because we hope in Yahweh Shem Yahushua. All right. So, I just wanted to bring that out. And Lord willing, that was edifying. Till next time, I say shalom.